Hey everybody, this is Jeremiah at Racing. We are back to look at our 2020 schedule. I know there's been a lot of tracks canceling. That's kind of why I've waited to put this video out for a little bit. But make sure to follow along. You'll see we got a lot of racing coming up ahead of us as long as the coronavirus will let us get there. To start off, I'll talk about where we're going to race weekly. For Wednesday, we had two options of tracks to run. We had Stewart that we ran last year, and the main reason we ran them weekly last year was because if you had perfect attendance for their weekly shows, you got submitted into a drawing for free Harris chassis, and even if you didn't win the drawing, you still got to get a certificate for 50% off the Harris chassis. So we ran there weekly until we blew our motor and couldn't make a couple of the races, and that basically took us out of the drawing. So after that, we went, when we could, when it made sense. And Mike runs a great show down there at Stewart. I really enjoy the track, but for this year we had Stewart and Alta as options for Wednesday. We actually went with the side of going to Alta this year. I only raced there once last year. It was a good track, a good promoter. They got a new promoter this year, so I'm anxious to check that out. A couple of the reasons we went with running Alta weekly is they have less shows for their weekly races, which allows us flexibility to run other places that aren't weekly races. And another reason is Alta is a little bit shorter and easier of a drive on our vehicles. It's about 10 minutes shorter, but the way we go to Stewart's is the shortest, takes us through a lot of narrow roads that have a lot of hills and winding and stuff, and so it's kind of it's not as easy of a drive as hopping on the interstate and just cruising till you get to the track. So that's another factor that we could take interstate down to Stewart, but it takes quite a bit longer to go that direction. So that's the reason we took the way we did, and we'll definitely still be hitting up quite a few shows at Stewart, even with running Alta weekly. I think we have 10 races or so that we're going to run at Stewart, probably, kind of depending on when they actually get started, when everybody gets started. But another reason, we have a friend of ours, Donovan Kennebeck, who's raced sport mods up till 4 or 5 years ago, or started in a sport compact, moved up to a sport mod, but he's going and building a car and getting back into sport mods as well this year. Once he gets this together, he'll probably run Alta a few times. So they live a lot closer to Alta than they do Stewart, so it makes sense to go with them. And then we feel like we have a better shot of continuing racing throughout the year by racing at Alta, because there's probably going to be less cars. It's a really wide track. You could probably land if it was long enough, you could probably land a plane on the front stretch. It's that wide, so feel like we're going to get less stuff tore up and have average a better finish, better payouts at Alta, which allow us to race more. With that being said, we have two other tracks that we're going to run weekly. On Fridays, we're going to run at Sports Park Raceway in Fort Dodge, and Saturday, we're going to run at Hamilton County Speedway in Webster City. We ran both tracks last year. Last year, Sports Park Raceway was IMCA sanctioned. This year, they are USRA sanctioned, so I'm excited to see how that goes. Andy Jones is basically running the facility for the USRA. I'm sure Todd's over there helping him whenever he can, but I'm excited to see what they do over there. I know they have a lot planned, so make sure to check out both Sports Park Raceway and Hamilton County Speedway this year, because I know they got a lot of stuff that they're really excited for. So those are our 3 weekly tracks. With that, we'll get started on the schedule. I'm going to switch to my computer screen now, and we'll go from there. Okay, so Boone and Marshalltown just announced that they're basically postponing everything till April 29th. So Boone's first race is going to be the Hawkeye 100 World of Outlaws late models. That one's still set to go as of right now. Stewart kind of put a post out there a while back, if I remember right, that they are basically postponed / canceled until further notice. I know they're doing a lot of test in tunes, but I know they're canceled at least through the 8th. By what I saw, they're probably going to be canceled down. They're maybe going to have this MLRA late model show. We'll see what happens. But basically, I'm just going to start here and pretend like these races are going, and if they do, great. If not, then it is what it is. So we plan to start out Stewart at the SLMR late model show. We may go to depending on how weather plays out, we're definitely going to go to Webster for their season opener and US MTS show if that goes on April 18th. If that gets canceled, we may go to Boone, or we may go to the Cabin Fever Breakout at Harlan if they run that. So, but more than likely we'll just run Stewart and then Webster City on Saturday. And then the following Wednesday, Stewart just has a weekly show. We're going to run there, basically run our weekly races, except Fort Dodge is a test and tune, not an actual race. There's basically how I've set this up is this is our first track that we plan to go to. If that gets canceled, this is our second track. If that gets canceled, this is our third track. If you see red, that means it's canceled. If you see yellow, it's just postponed but not officially canceled yet. If you see green, that's a race we plan to go to. And if you see orange, that's a race we were thinking about trying or going to, depending on how things play out. So, also this first show of weekly racing at April 25th in Webster City, they're planning to do $5 fan admission. And if enough people pack the stands, they're going to keep the admission at $5. Otherwise, it's going to go up to $12. So make sure you grab your friends, your neighbors, your buddies, your coworkers, whatever you need to get that place packed. Keep the fan admission down at $5, and they'll put on a great show for you guys. And then April 30th, MLRA late models come to Stewart. We're going to plan to go to that show, and then go to Fort Dodge and Webster that same week, which that MLRA late model show is on a Thursday, which allows us to go. Plus, Alta doesn't start until mid-May or late May. So, and then the following week is kind of a little bit different. We're going to go to Stewart for their weekly show on Wednesday. We're going to try out our hand at Denison. I haven't been there before. I have a couple friends who've been there. I know Shane DeMay, he races over there weekly because he lives in that area. But we're going to try that track out, and then if they cancel, we're going to run over to the practice in Britt and try that out. That Saturday, we're also going to go to Webster City like normal. The next week, Wednesday, we go to the Jake Durbin Memorial at Stewart Speedway. Was there for that last year, and there's a lot of cars that showed up. A lot of people out to support his memorial. So make sure to stop out for that this year if they are allowed to run that at that point. Sounds like some of the stuff may go till June, hopefully not. But and then we're going to run our weekly races in Fort Dodge and Webster. And then we're going to go back to Stewart for the dirt nights. If that show gets canceled, we're planning on running the test and tune at Alta just to get our car set up for that. And then Fort Dodge and Boone are not running that week, so we're going to go try our hand over at Britt. Last year we didn't have the greatest luck there. We went there twice. The first time we were running on 6 or 7 cylinders pretty much all night and couldn't really figure out what was wrong until we got it home. So, and then the second night we went there, we ran 3 laps, dropped the drive shaft, and basically it was damaged to the point where I couldn't use it, didn't have an extra. So we drove all that way for a couple 3 laps and then drove back home basically at the end of the night. I think the night that we dropped the drive shaft was also the night that Jason Bass blew his motor up. So it was a good night for us from the Fort Dodge area, that was for sure. That Saturday we're going to run Boone, and if that gets canceled for weather or whatever, we're going to run Harlan if they go. And then we're going to go back to Stewart on the Monday after that for the Bill Davis Memorial. And then Alta starts their season with a redraw. It's not a points night, but we're going to run over there, get our car set up for sure, make sure it's ready to go for our weekly races. It's kind of nice that their first show is in a points night. That way you can kind of get your car adjusted and then go run for points the next week. And then we're going to run our weekly shows in Fort Dodge and Webster. Another $5 night over there in Webster, so make sure to check that out. This week we kind of had a decision to make whether we were going to run the dirt duel in Stewart or if we were going to run weekly in Alta. I actually need to change these to orange. Kind of weather depending what's going to happen. We may enter the show for the dirt duel on Monday and Tuesday, and then if Alta goes on Wednesday, we'll run there. If not, we'll just stay in Stewart and run the dirt duel last night of the dirt duel. We may lose a little money there. We'll just kind of play that one by ear and see how everything goes. So, and then we're going to run our weekly shows again in Fort Dodge and Webster. The next week is pretty much a normal week, other than Webster runs twice. They also run on Thursday for the Malvern Bank Super Late Models. So we'll be at both shows there, plus our weekly races in Alta and Fort Dodge. The following week, we actually get to run with the USMTS boys twice. Obviously, we're running sport mods that run on modifieds, but we get to watch them anyways. Once at Stewart on Tuesday, our weekly show in Alta on Wednesday, weekly on Fort Dodge on Friday, and then back watching the USMTS again on Saturday at Webster. So, following week's just a normal week. Week after that, June 30th, July 1st, Webster's got a 2-day deal. First day, Great American Stock Car Shootout. Second day, carload night. For the carload night, I believe it's $20. Don't take my word for it. Make sure to verify. But $20 gets a car in, so grab your neighbors, friends, coworkers, ex-girlfriends. Don't care. Just grab them all and pack them in the car and go over there for $20. Thursday, July 2nd, we're planning on running the Ron Little Memorial in Stewart, and then back to Fort Dodge for their Firecracker Special on July 3rd. Boone's running a race July 4th, but I doubt we'll go. Usually we try to take the 4th off, spend time with friends, family, get the boat out, go to the lake, stuff like that. Depending on people's schedules, if nobody's able to go to the lake, I'll probably go down to Boone and race, but more than likely we'll be off that day. And then we'll go back to our weekly schedule minus Webster. The next week, we'll go to Boone instead. Webster's not running that week. And then back to our weekly schedule for the following week. Webster's running their Bruce Summerfeld Memorial. So make sure to go over there for that. And then the following week, we run Webster twice again, not Fort Dodge or Alta. The Alta does have a race that week, but Webster's also running on Wednesday. Being that Webster's a lot closer, we're going to go to Webster before we go to Alta. If Webster cancels, we'll run over to Alta for our points over there. But right now, as it stands, we're going to miss one points night in Alta if everything goes to plan. And then we're going to run Britt on Friday because Fort Dodge is not running. And then we're going to go back to Webster City on Saturday, July 25th for Kids Night. Make sure to bring the kids out for that. You get to ride around on the kids get to ride around on the cars. Obviously not at full speed, just kind of putting around, but kids really enjoy that. A lot of drivers tend to throw some shirts up to the officials and to give away to the kids. I usually give away a couple at night, and so definitely bring the kids out for that. The following Tuesday, Dirt Nights goes over to Britt, so we're going to go up there for that show as well, and then run our weekly races in Alta, Fort Dodge, and Webster. That Saturday, August 1st, is Driver Appreciation Night, so keep me in mind when that time comes around because I'll have free tickets for the races that night, and the more people I get to go in with my ticket, the better shot I have to win some prizes. The drivers with the most tickets, I think top 3, win prizes, so hopefully up there this year, so make sure to keep me in mind for that. After that, the following Tuesday, if we have funding available, we're planning to go up to Deer Creek Speedway for the Harris Clash. There's going to be a lot of cars there, so if we don't have the funding available and we feel like it's better suited to stay to our weekly schedule, we won't go. I really want to go to that race, but you kind of have to have the funding to go. So we'll go to that if we can, and then we'll run our weekly shows, ending the week August 8th at Season Championships in Webster City. Then Webster takes a few weeks off. Their regular season's over. So we plan to run Boone after that weekly. So we go to Stewart for their Monday night spotlight on XR Plus, I believe. And then we go to our weekly show in Alta. And then we run actually at Britt for the night of 1,000 stars and 10,000 stars Thursday and Friday. And then we're going to go to Boone on Saturday for their weekly show. And then the following week we run Fort Dodge isn't running, so we run Alta and Boone. And then the week after that, August 26th, 28th, and 29th, we run Alta, the season championship in Fort Dodge, and the season championship in Boone. That pretty much ends our regular season. After that, we got almost a week off, pretty much a week off. And then we go back to Boone for the Supernats Prelude. We're going to run that. And then we're going to run, obviously, Supernats. So we got races Monday and Tuesday. If we don't make the show and we're in the top 24, we'll race Wednesday. and then if we are in the show, we'll also race Saturday. So hopefully we're racing Saturday. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I can get in on Monday and I don't have to race the rest of the week and just be ready for Saturday. Last year I made an A qualifier, finished 6 spots out for making the race. It was a pretty long race. You guys can check out the video on my YouTube. I believe the race was about an hour long, and I got the video cut down to about 10-15 minutes, I believe. So it was 10-15 minutes of racing that took an hour. So a lot of red flags and cautions. And then the following week, we go to Fort Dodge for their Ironman Challenge. If that gets canceled, we'll run over to Alta for their Battle at the Beaver for both days of that. If not, we'll just go the second day and see what we can do. I'm not sure how they're going to run that show, if you accumulate points or if it's just a 1 day, 2 day show, how it works. But we're going to go over for that. And then depending on how much time we have on this Sunday, we may throw the USRA panels on the car and run up to Mesa City to run Ironman stock car race. And at that point, our car will pretty much be a USRA car. Depending on weather and stuff and funding, we may leave our car IMCA, not go to this, and then go to the Tiny London Memorial. But otherwise, we plan, if we switch to USRA, we're going to run up to, and have the funding, we're going to run up to Deer Creek again for the USMTS Fall Jamboree. On the way back on Sunday, we're going to hit Mesa City and then come back the rest of the way Sunday night after that. And then we'll head over Wednesday to Webster City on September 30th for the USRA Nationals practice, run USRA Nationals. I'm anxious to get back to that race. Heat race I finished. I made the feature Friday. Saturday missed qualifying in the heat race by 1 spot, missed qualifying in the B by 1 spot, and then got taken out in the last chance qualifier while I was in a transfer position. So kind of got a little redemption to do there, a little redeeming, but so I'm excited to get back to that. Then the following week we go to Fort Dodge for the fall special. May go up to the Mesa City Battle at the Bull Ring. Kind of just depends on how we feel with the car. If we want to save the car for the fall futurity, or if we feel like the car is good, we'll run that and then run fall futurity as well. Obviously we have a few days in between to check things over, and then we'll finish up the season. If we don't go to Vegas, we'll finish up the season in Webster City at the fall futurity, and then if we do go to Vegas, that's actually in November. So hopefully we can make it to that, but you're gonna need a good motor and stuff like that. So if we are running on a wore down motor, we probably won't make the trip. So that's what our schedule looks like for the year. So as always, if you guys could like the video, if you are excited to watch all of this racing, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Check out our Facebook and Instagram links, all our partner links down in the description below as well. And we'll see you in the next video.